Welcome to Cosy Crime Time with Becca Bain and Jade, where we talk about a different cozy crime series each episode. Does the TV show you're watching feature a murder, closely followed by a shot of a field of wheat or a village hall? Then it's the perfect show for us. Now, we will be revealing killers and giving away twists, so we have a blanket spoiler warning as well as a cozy blanket to wrap ourselves up in. Hey Jade.
Hi Becca, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you, on this lovely sunny day in London, by which I mean I'm absolutely boiling. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I am also quite warm because I've shut all my windows so that I don't have the sound of, well, there's like a road outside my flat, so sometimes hear the sound of the cars. So I am also hot because I normally would have the windows open, but I don't at the moment. No one needs to hear the sounds of tractors going past my window.
That's very wholesome. We suffer for our art, don't
Exactly,
we?
yeah, exactly.
We really do. Also, but the sounds of the tractor going past. Do you live in a village where a lot of murders happen?
I live in a
That
village.
was
I don't know, maybe murders happen here and that I'm not privy to. But yes, I live in a village. It is very much like a Midsummer Murders or something like that, but without the killing that I know of.
You're the opposite of an amateur sleuth. You're like, oh, was there a murder? Was
Yeah.
there? Oh, blimey. Did any kind of crimes happen to you this week then, if there's no murders going
So
on?
there's no murders, but crime-wise, I would say, yeah, I mean, maybe the crime was just committed by me. But talking of being in a village, on Monday, a friend of mine, because normally if I go to meet people, I'll drive into the town or, come up to London or that kind of thing, drive down to Brighton. But it then obviously means I don't drink because I've got to drive. So I'm always very sensible. But my friend, I picked her up from her. We went to the pub in my village, and then her boyfriend came and met us and then dropped me home and took her home. But it was a Monday night and we met quite early, and her boyfriend only wanted to have one. So I thought, I won't have anything to eat beforehand. We're going to have a drink or two and then go our separate ways. And I'll do some work in the evening and I'll eat my dinner and stuff. Anyway, cut to 2 pints and 2 bottles of wine. And safe to say, I was not doing any work or make. Well, actually, I did wake up to see that I had put some chips in my air fryer. But lucky I put them in my air fryer and not my oven. Otherwise, it would have been a crime of burning down my flat. But in the morning, luckily the air fryer just turns off when it hits its timer. So there were some shriveled chips in the air fryer.
Oh, that's always a
Yeah,
sad sight.
yeah, yeah.
Chips famously don't age
No,
well.
definitely not. So that was the crime, was my own crime of, I guess it was a crime of passion, of fun. And but yeah,
I love
it
that.
it was a nice night out. It's been a while since I've just done that, so it was fun. But obviously everyone should
Yeah.
drink responsibly.
Line at your stomach.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think, bless you, you kind of robbed yourself of productive time, but
Yeah.
in the funnest way.
Exactly, exactly. What about you? Have you had anything cozy happen to you since we last chatted?
Anything cozy? Oh yeah, I did. So I fairly recently moved into a new flat. I was previously living in a 7 bed house when I first moved to London, which is a crime in itself. But I'm now in a very nice 2 bed flat. And about a week after I'd moved in, I got surprised with a is it Bloom and Wild box at the
Oh,
door.
wow.
And my mum had sent Miriam and I peonies
Oh,
to say, "Welcome to your new
that's
home." Completely
so
unexpected.
nice. Oh,
I know, what a sweetheart, eh? And there's something about Bloom and Wild that the flowers last a really long
oh,
time, and they
nice.
send you all these extra instructions to kind of make sure that they last a really long time. So the peonies themselves are still going really strong. I can see them
Oh,
right here. Just beautiful, like baby pink peonies. Lovely.
that's so
And it made
nice.
me very happy. It was also 2 days before my period, so I might have cried a little. It's
Oh,
just
that's
when,
lovely.
yeah, Sweet gestures out of nowhere made my heart feel very cozy.
Yeah, definitely. That's so lovely. Oh, what a lovely mum. She gets a big gold star from me.
Yeah, she's the best.
Oh.
Shout out, Jane. So, what episode are we going to be looking at this week?
So this week we are going to be talking about Death Valley, which is a newish series on BBC One. And it's had two series, but it only came out in 2025. So they've like churned out the series in quite a nice way that doesn't happen so much anymore. And it's like a classic story of the week, cozy crime, different crimes every time, and it's starring Gwyneth Keyworth, Timothy Spall, and it's written by a guy called Paul Doolan. And yeah, I think it's a really good example of like a modern cozy crime. We spoke on the Rosemary and Thyme episode about how that's like really like a classic kind of early 2000s cozy crime. And I think this is quite different, but still has the tropes, but it's kind of like a modern spin on a cozy crime. And if anyone hasn't seen it, I'll give you a little synopsis. So, set in mid Wales, the murder mystery series follows the unlikely crime solving partnership between eccentric national treasure John Chappell, who is a retired actor and star of the hit long running detective television show Caesar, and the socially obtuse Detective Sergeant Janie Malawan. And they're kind of like an odd couple. She is obviously works in the police force, but he does not. And they come together and solve crimes, and it's funny and fun.
Yeah, I think it's. My brain just goes, you have to say Death Valley. You have to
Oh
say it
yeah.
in the. Like, I didn't actually know it was set in Wales until as we do on this show, whoever is not the expert watches the very first episode. Didn't realize it was Welsh, and then there are other valleys in the UK. I didn't want to assume, but now I'm just like, oh, Death Valley,
Yeah, in the
yes,
valleys. Yeah, yeah.
in the valleys, yeah.
I mean, that's fair
No, it's
enough,
yeah,
but
it
it's very Welsh. Like the moment you put it on, it's like, oh, that
very
person's from Gavin and Stacey. That's person's from Gavin and Stacey. And then as you watch more episodes, it's like there's like one that happens on like a camping trip or like a walking kind of camping trip, and one where in the second series it all happens at like an old castle, and so it is like it's very Welsh in a great way.
yeah. I really enjoy it, and it's yeah the beautiful Welsh countryside of it
Mm.
all, and the yeah it is it's very modern, as you say, in its own way, and it's yeah I was yeah we should maybe have like some sort of bingo card or some sort of checklist of the crossover of Gavin and Stacey characters and
Yeah.
the cast or the guest stars of Death Valley.
Yeah, because one of the so obviously Gwyneth Keyworth and Timothy Spall are the two main characters. People might have recognised Gwyneth Keyworth from Misfits. She has been in other things as well, but she was in one of the series of that. But then obviously everyone knows who Timothy Spall is. But there's a few people that work in the police station who are regular. They're like part of the regular, I guess, like secondary characters. And one of them, Stefan Rodri, he plays Dave Coaches in Gavin and Stacey,
Yeah.
and he's a great character that's in, I think, all of the episodes. And
Oh,
it's quite
good.
a nice, it's quite nice actually because Janie and I was going to say Caesar, but that's his character's name. But so Janie and John Chappell, like their relationship becomes kind of father daughter-ish, like, and it's a really lovely
Oh, that's
relationship. It's
sweet.
really sweet. There's never anything where it's like flirty or anything like that. It's always just like father daughter-ish. But then also what's kind of funny is her boss, played by Stefan Rodri, is also has like a bit of a father daughter relationship with her as well, and then he gets a bit like jealous
Yeah.
of their relationship, which you see in episode one actually.
Yeah, you really do. He's so touched that she's like taken his advice on board and is literally quoting him when when she asks herself that question. He's so touched. I do think that it's an interesting kind of newer dynamic where it's like it's I mean, it might change from the first episode, but from the first episode, it's almost like a combative thing to be the mentor
Yeah.
figure. But I think it is coming more from I always just call him Dave Coaches. What's his name again?
So his real name is
Stefan
Stefan
Rodri.
Rodri, and then his character,
Yeah.
because I always just think of him as Dave Coaches. I did write it down because I
Yeah.
never remember his character name. Oh, I can't find it. Oh,
I know
DCI Clark, but Dave Coaches
DCI
works.
Clark, Dave Coaches. The thing is, he has been in so many other things. Like he was either in Game of Thrones or House of the
Yeah,
Dragon.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was quite a big character, I think. And yeah, so he's had arguably one of the more successful careers of the Gavin and Stacey crew, and yet everyone in the UK will always know him just as Dave
Yes.
Coaches. I would be okay with that. I hope he is as
Yeah.
well.
Also,
But
actually, something I found out on my research, and just because we're talking about him, and obviously we'll talk more about the two main characters, but just while we're talking about him, I was looking up what his character was called, and then a news article came up, and this was a news article from, I'm just going to open it now, like a few days, oh, the 3rd of April, so like when we're recording this, basically just over a month ago, and he is set to star in, and I quote, a witty, twisty crime series called Old Town Murders, which is filmed in Tenby, a seaside town near Cardiff, and he's one of two. He's playing a DS, and then there's another Welsh actor called Mark Lewis Jones who's playing the DI, and they are solving crimes basically. So we've got a new one. I don't know if it's cozy or not, but these are a
okay,
new one.
interesting. Potentially watch this space for another episode
Yeah,
then,
exactly.
or or a watch along. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Um,
Very
so
good. Very
I
good.
absolutely, I really like this one, and I just think it's really, I suppose with a lot of these, we've spoken about this before. It is a lot about the relationship of like the main characters. I know, obviously, you just saw the first episode, but what did you think about the two kind of characters?
Yeah, I really, really like Janie as a character. I really, because the kind of, yeah, the moments of social ineptitude where she maybe says the wrong thing or keeps talking for longer than she should, sometimes it can wear a bit thin or even be a bit unrealistic to me in a female lead. I think especially in like rom-coms and things like that, it's written so that they're not so perfect. I believe it about her, and I do find it very endearing because I think it comes from a place of wanting to be ahead of where she
Yeah.
is. I mean, we find out she's gone for the DI job. She hasn't necessarily got it yet, and Dave. I nearly said Dave Clark there, and I was like, that's a different thing. We're not going to mix up the two. DCI Clark is saying that she's maybe getting ahead of herself, but then he reconsiders by the end. And I think it's that thing of hurrying to get to a place so you're stumbling on yourself on the way. And I quite enjoyed that about her character. And she's obviously, yeah, she's about what, my age, 31, 32, and she's still living with her mom, and there's these undertones that something bad has happened that she's probably still getting over, or maybe semi in denial about. It's not quite clear yet. I'll be really interested to see where that side of things goes. And I think, yeah, I really like her as a character, and I love the dynamic with Timothy
Yeah,
Spall.
yeah, yeah.
Really, I love that she always refers to him by his full name.
Yeah, even in like series 2, when it's like they've been friends for a while, and it's sort of,
Yeah, no,
it's she's still calling him John Chaffel. It just really makes me laugh.
yeah, it's a lovely little detail because sometimes in a strange way, yeah, a full name can become a
Yeah,
nickname.
yeah, yeah.
Like some people refer to me as Becca Bain, like one
Yeah.
name, So I feel his pain. But yeah, no, I really love their dynamic. And in the first episode, it is like she's obviously a fan, but by the end, like third act, it does get combative, and she walks away, and I think it goes through a lot of ups and downs, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because I think she finds him to be an absolute pain in the arse, but also really helpful and also a fan. It's a really interesting dynamic, and I think he's missed that like command and wanting to feel useful, and I think he gets experiences every now and then with fans where they'll be like, "Oh, my mum loves it. It's not for me. Oh, I've yeah, never heard of you, whatever." And so she seems to be the only, not the only genuine fan, but the only person who is a fan and then is also seeing him as a person.
Yeah, definitely.
He doesn't really seem to have that dynamic with anyone else, and you're given the impression that he's lived there for a while. So I think she's giving him something that he is craving personally and probably professionally with the crime stuff as well. It really fits together nicely.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It kind of, as you mentioned there in the first episode, it's alluded to, like, well, we kind of find out that Janie's best friend has passed away, and then we also find out that
Yeah.
John Chappell's wife has passed away. So they're kind of, and then more so with Janie's character, there's more that kind of comes through about what happened. Whereas with John Chappell's one, it's more about him kind of dealing with his grief. But it is quite nice the fact that there's kind of like this overarching theme throughout the first series, at least. I wouldn't say it's so much there in the second series, where it's like the two of them kind of dealing with their grief and stuff. And it's just kind of like it's not like a big plot point, but it just gives the characters and also just the stories a bit more like heft and weight, that I think like I think it is a cozy crime, but the characters, sometimes with cozy crimes, the characters are quite like one dimensional and stuff, whereas I think with this, they're really like Janie is quite a complicated character, where she is like parts of her life are really falling apart, or she hasn't got things sorted out, but also she has like a pretty decent job, so like she's also got some things together, so it's like, yeah, she's quite complex. And the same happens with John Chappell, and in like a couple of episodes later we meet Janie's mum. She's part of like one of the stories of the week, but then she pops up in it more, and actually she's played by Stacey's mum from Gavin and Stacey. I can't Gwen. So that's Melanie Waters.
Gwen.
Yeah, and she's really good in this.
Tick.
Yeah, another tick. But what I really, do you mind if I tell you this like little spoiler thing? I think you'll find it quite funny.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a similar thing, to what happened with Only Murders in the Building. We cannot give our listeners a blanket spoiler and then spare me or spare
that's
you
true.
a spoiler. That's very hypocritical.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So basically, at the end of series one, Janie discovers that John Chappell and her mum have been like having her mum's not with her dad, so they're not having an affair, but they're having a fling that they've kind of kept secret from her. But then what's really funny is in the first episode of the second series, John Chappell's all like loved up and everything, but then she dumps him because she just finds him too much. And so then like there's only one episode of him being all like happy and loved up, and then by the end of it he's like back to his he's not as grumpy throughout as he is in the first episode. He's still like a bit cantankerous, but he's not how, like in that first episode he's really, and then Janie kind of brings him out a bit, and then in that episode he's all like walking on clouds and stuff. And then it's really funny how he's then sort of brought back down because she dumps him because he's like just being too much, and she just wants to have a bit of fun basically. So it's really funny.
Oh wow, that is so funny. I think, yeah, that's so interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it. And obviously, I think series two has just finished, or technically you can finish it because it's all on iPlayer now, but
Yeah.
it's still doing a weekly release on the BBC.
I think there's still a
Yeah, so
couple of episodes left, but you can, yeah, I've seen them all now because they're on. And I was going to
yeah,
try and take it slow, but when I was having my cozy week cat sitting, I just basically watched it one a night, basically. And it's very easy
nice.
viewing while still being funny and that kind of thing.
It is, that was something that I picked up on. Yeah, it's again, maybe it's something about the more modern cozy crime, because we said a similar thing about Only Murders in the Building, is that instead of the humor being gentle, the writing is sharp. Like it's
Yeah.
funny. Like I really, really laughed out loud a lot. And yeah, you get a lot of, bless him, John Chappell getting brought back down to earth when he starts being pompous. And yeah, especially when they're doing they really lean into the drama of the reveal at the end of the first episode. Like you can tell that Timothy Spall and John Chappell are really
Yeah.
enjoying how dramatic they can be with it. And I think Janie is just doing her job, but is like de facto leaning into it. And it's brilliant, and it's quite self-aware. It's not
Yeah.
too self-aware, but and then it's just immediately undercut by that guy thinking that they're recording an
Yeah.
episode of
Yeah.
this, like a remake of the series or something. It's so good at playing with those tropes. And yeah, I think this is maybe something that more modern iterations of the light-hearted mystery genre are bringing, which I can only encourage and want to see
Yeah.
more of. Like the real, like, and this is not to disparage any of the older ones, but as we've said in previous episodes, the humor is quite
Yeah.
gentle.
I wouldn't say they're
Um,
funny. They just have bits where it's like, haha, kind of thing.
you're just like, oh yes, haha, yeah. Whereas, yeah, the humor is really really good in this,
Definitely.
and I hope it stays good.
Well, I think that part of the reason for, well, probably, I guess the whole reason for that is, interestingly, Death Valley is made by, so it's made by BBC Studios, but it's made by their comedy team. So it's actually part of their comedy, like,
Ah,
department. And the writer on it and the guy who created it and wrote it, Paul Doolan, I don't know if you ever met him or anything, but he did he's been a comedy writer for a long time, and he did a Radio 4 show with a guy who I know and you may probably know, called John Hunter, who's a brilliant comedy writer. And they
yeah.
did Radio 4 show called Party's Over, which was with Miles Jupp, where Miles Jupp,
Yes, of course.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
played like the shortest serving. Basically, it came around the time of Liz Truss, and he was a similar thing of he was like the shortest served prime minister, and it's like him as a quite a bumbling character, like dealing with life afterwards. And I actually, because it was made by BBC Studios, but the radio team at that point, or the audio team, I went along to see some of the recordings and actually sat in on the read throughs and when they were like going through the scripts and stuff like that. And he was a really nice guy. But basically, I'm not just bringing that up to brag about having met him, but also just to show that like it's kind of come, and a bit like actually Only Murders in the Building, is that it's come from a comedy background rather than things like, when I watched an episode of Morse, one of the ones I saw had been written by someone. When I looked them up, they had done like basically all those kind of like ITV cozy crime dramas. So I think people used to come from a drama background, and now a lot of people are actually having done comedy and going into cozy crimes and mysteries and things.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so here for that.
Same.
I'm really here for that kind of trend. I think there was several occasions where I was really thinking of it in comparison to Only Murders in the Buildings in a positive way, because we've also got Steve Martin's character in Only Murders is an
Yeah.
actor who previously played a detective.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
true. I didn't even think about
oh
that.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, is this a trope now?
Yeah.
So yeah, and the humor and the self-awareness of it, all kind of comparable as two modern kind of murder mysteries. I will say, Death Valley already strikes me as a lot cozier
Definitely.
than like legitimately cozier. It's very you've got that, it's a quite uniquely Welsh warmth, I would say, with the average villagers and the interactions and things like that. There's even something, it sounds so stupid to actually say out loud, but there is genuinely something in the cadence of a Welsh accent that is
Yeah,
warm, I
yeah, it's
think, and that
cozy.
all comes through. It is cozy. So yeah, even though there are those comparisons, there's definitely more warmth. It's not a dark comedy, which is what I would characterize Only Murders in the Building as.
Yeah, definitely. I think after we spoke about Only Murders in the Building, I'm like, yeah, maybe it's not a cozy crime, whereas this definitely is. It's like a funny, cozy crime. Interesting enough as well, of just how you said about the cadence of the voices, and you were saying earlier about how Timothy Spall is and his character are clearly really enjoying leaning into the reveal and things like that. And I couldn't find. I saw a review, and then I was trying to find it to find the exact like quote. I couldn't find it again, but basically there was a review. So sorry, I should say before that, like the first series did pretty well with viewing figures. Like I think its first like overnight for the first episode was like 4 million viewers. It has gone down a little bit, but it was pretty good. And the second series, from what they've released so far, and obviously there's still some episodes to go out, but the numbers are slightly down, but they're still like nearly 3 million. So it's like it's still doing quite well. But one
Yeah.
of the reviews that I saw about the second series was someone saying that it was like a bit panto and a bit over the top and stuff. But I don't really agree with that, because even though it is,
Okay.
I think that, well, I do agree with it, but I don't agree that it's a bad thing, because I think that
Sure.
it's his character. I think that's like his character is so over the top. And in the second series, he does a bit of acting as well, and then he like gets a part in Canada at the end. But I think it's like there'll hopefully be a third series, and it's just that will be like, oh, 3 months has passed or whatever. But it's like he clearly still loves acting, and actually there is a episode in series one where he gets involved with like an Amdram group, because there's a murder that
Oh,
happens there. And so it's like, while agree sometimes it is a bit over the top in terms of the acting, I kind of think that that's a deliberate choice for the what the character would be like, because he is a bit pompous. He's a bit of like an old thespian, he's like he talks a
yes.
lot throughout. Even though he's best known for this character Caesar, you can tell that like he's not that pleased about that, because he would rather be known for like his Shakespearean
Yeah.
work and stuff like that. It's there's a little snobbiness to how he sees the
Oh,
part he did.
definitely. Definitely. I think not just that, I think there's a little snobbiness to him
Oh yeah,
generally.
yeah,
Like, especially when they're talking about the crimes, the amount of times, even in the first episode, and I'm assuming this is going to continue, that he'll say something and actual police, so Janie and Clark will be like, "Where did you get that from?" And he's like, "Isn't it obvious?" Or like some sort of variation of that, like, "How have you not spotted this very minute detail?" And so he verges on
yeah, oh yeah.
patronizing, and I do think that is part of the dynamic that he has with a younger police officer and a young woman. And I wonder if part of the arc will maybe that he moves away from that. It doesn't sound like it, but I'm enjoying it, so it's fine either way. But it's a couple of times he's like, "How could you miss this very niche thing that is not backed by
Yeah,
evidence?"
yeah.
Which is really funny. But I think that it plays into an angle, and again, I would love to know if this is something that continues. There's an angle that they've brought through his background that I don't think I've seen before in a cozy crime, where his instincts lead not just from being a detective in the past, but what he understands about character, and therefore what he understands about people. And I always find myself cringing a bit if I start a sentence with "as a writer," but as a writer, I found that a really interesting angle, and again, it makes sense that the writers are coming from a comedy background. Is that we have to ask ourselves often, well, would that character actually say that? Would that character actually do that? Is it consistent? And applying that to human nature and how that influences actions and motives and everything like that was a really interesting angle to me as a why this guy is good as an amateur, because everyone has to have their hook, Rosemary and Thyme are just a lot nosy and in the right place at the right
Yeah.
time, but they have to have something that makes them good at it, and I thought that was a really interesting way of doing it.
Definitely. I think it's a good USP. I will say I think that sort of that skill does make me think of Poirot quite a lot, because I think I've mentioned it before about how Poirot relies on like his little grey cells, and there's not really tons of evidence, and so where sometimes when you read or you watch a Poirot, it's like, okay, in reality this would never, like, how would they actually like charge someone for this? And what's quite good in this is it's not like, oh, Janie's a bumbling police officer, like, and especially as it goes on, she in the second series she has got that promotion and she's finding the evidence. So there's a few times where John Chappell's giving it the big I am, the big reveal, and oh, this and that, and then people are like, oh yeah, well, you have no evidence, and then Janie's like, actually, and unbeknownst to John, she's found the evidence that they need, so it works really well.
Yeah,
But it sort of reminds me
yeah.
of a Poirot-ish kind of trope, but also I think it's unique enough. So, like you say, it is quite different. So I really like that. And yeah. Oh, and I was going to say, I think that Paul Doolan, who wrote it, must be a big Agatha Christie fan, because well, I suppose anyone who writes these things are a big. He probably loves loads of murder
I was
mysteries.
just, it always goes back to
Exactly.
Christie. I think
Yeah.
we're going to keep
Yeah.
finding that.
But
Yeah.
so obviously, as I say, I think that he's definitely used Poirot as inspiration for Chapel, and also Janie Malowan, her name. So Agatha Christie, when she married her second husband, that was his last name, and Janie is Miss Marple's, well, Jane Marple. So he's like made,
Jane.
yeah. So a little nod
Oh, it's
to,
a proper wee
yeah,
homage.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, that's subtle. I
Yeah,
like it.
exactly. It's like a homage without it being, oh, it's just the rip off. It feels like its own thing.
Oh, that's great. And do you think it has the legs to continue being a good series going forward?
I think so. I hope that it does, because I feel like even though they have sometimes these through lines, like in the second series, it was kind of like, well, John Chappell kind of being a bit heartbroken from Janie's mum, but actually, like Janie says to him, it's like, oh, like you're just being like, he was just being dramatic about it and that kind of thing. He wasn't actually heartbroken. But also in the second series, Janie's dad comes into it in a story, and he's been quite like he had like an absent father, and he's not been there a lot, and so he wants to like patch up their relationship, but she's been like hurt by him a bit before, so it's kind of, that's a bit of a through line. But even though they have these little through lines, really you could just drop in and out, and because each episode is like a different story and a different crime, so there might be a few bits
Nice.
where you
Okay.
take a few moments to think, oh, who's this character, but most of it can, like, it can stand on its own. And personally, I can see it like running for quite a while, because I just think the two of them are really good together, and the stories are satisfying and it's funny. So I really hope there's a third series, but I think it kind of satisfies the gap where there's not really any new cozy crime. Well, I suppose as soon as I said that, I was like, oh no, there's Beyond Paradise, there's, well, Death in Paradise, there's Return to Paradise. So
I was gonna say I don't think the genre's ever
No,
been
yeah,
stronger
yeah.
personally,
But
especially with the announcement of a new
yes,
Poirot
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
take
think
that back.
there's no slowing.
But I think
Yeah.
maybe not the ones where, like, I think it's a genuinely good, maybe it's because I like comedy stuff, but I think it's a genuinely good show as well. Like some cozy crimes I like, but they're a bit cheesy, whereas I don't. This has an element of cheese, but just a sprinkling on top. Um, yeah, but I
A
hope.
little bit of
Yeah,
Parmesan.
exactly. I hope that it comes back, and I hope that it runs a long time because I can see that there's a lot of legs in it, and things like in the second series. So in the first episode, they do this throughout is like people will be watching Caesar, John Chappell's TV show on the TV, just for like a little bit. And Jim Howick is his like right hand man in the
Yes.
yeah. And then in
Yes.
series two, there's an episode on a film set, and Jim Howick's character is the main part in it. So then we actually see him outside of being on a TV show. So that's quite good. So I think they've got a lot of there's so many stories and there's lots of people they can bring in or new characters and stuff like that. So I think it's got a lot of legs to it. I hope anyway.
That's fun. That's really interesting. So is Jim Howick the Lewis to Timothy Spall's Morse, and then he gets his own
Oh
spin-off,
yeah, so no, so
like
he's
Lewis did?
no, no, so he is the Lewis
Oh, okay.
to the Morse, but then he goes off and just does other work, and then the
Oh,
TV
it's
show.
not the
No,
same.
it's
Oh,
not. It's like a
okay.
Game of Thronesy kind of show that they're filming,
Oh,
and
sure.
then John Chappell goes along because they're obviously trying to solve a murder, and then one of the small parts can't do it, and John Chappell does it, and everyone's like amazed by how good an actor he is because Jim Howick's
Oh,
characters have become quite arrogant, and in the time they haven't seen each other, his career's blossomed, and he's become an arrogant like diva.
right.
But
Funny,
it's quite
funny.
funny.
Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the existing
Yeah.
series, and that's yeah, that's what I was going to say. So beyond how many series we hope it gets, do you want to plead your case as to why people should watch the series?
I think that when we spoke about like Death in Paradise and Rosemary in Time, we kind of spoke about quintessential cozy crimes, and I think this is a really perfect example of a modern cozy crime. It's got the warmth, it's got the satisfying who done it, but also it's like really funny. Like the first episode, okay, it is there is quite a bit of gore in the first episode, but I think beyond that it doesn't I don't remember it being super like gory and graphic. But in the first episode, we've got a postman who actually again was in Gavin and Stacey as Owain Hughes, if you remember that part. But he,
Oh, I
yeah,
news.
he
And have you? Sorry,
he
yes.
is trying to deliver a letter, and then the wife of the victim finds him dead, and then and she's screaming, and then he's like, oh gosh, and then he's like, but I do need a signature, and there's like a really good punchline of just like it feels like there's fun, really funny bits even right in the first like couple of minutes. So the comedy is really good. The characters are great. Like Janie and John are, I think, really, really funny characters, and they're very complex and they're nuanced and well written. I think as well as I've mentioned, it's easy to kind of drop in and out and things like that. Also, and we spoke about the Rosemary and Thyme credits, but I think the opening credits of this are really brilliant. Like the look of them, they just are really, just like really well done credit sequence. I really enjoy that. And I just think it's fun. It's a romp. And in our dark times that are going on at the moment, don't we just need a bit of fun and a good old romp?
It's a very good point. Very well made, Jade. Thank you.
Brilliant. So will you watch? Do you have I pled my case well enough to you? Do you think you would watch more?
Oh, definitely. I think honestly, it's a similar thing. you're picking really good modern cozy crimes that I just haven't had a chance to watch. And it's fantastic to have an excuse to start, and I'm getting hooked on
Yeah.
them, and this is another one of them. I'm into series 2 of Only Murders in the
Oh,
Building
brilliant. Oh,
now.
wow. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I demolished it. Absolutely demolished it. So I will be picking up on this one as well.
Brilliant.
Definitely sold on it. And as you say, it is a really nice comfort watch. I think even though Only Murders in the Building we've officially classified, I think, as not technically a cozy crime, it can absolutely be a comfort
Yeah.
show. And so it's like it stands up within the genre or the subgenre, however you want to categorize it. Similarly, this could very easily be a comfort
Yeah.
watch. Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Just a wee escape to the valleys for half an hour.
yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I and on rewatching the first episode of the first series, because I watched it when it came out, so I haven't seen it for about a year, and it's definitely like rewatchable. Like I'm gonna continue rewatching the first series. One final thing that I wanted to say as well is that I do appreciate the production team, because Ludwig came out in 2024, and we've only just heard that series 2 is coming out in August. This has had 2 series and it came out in 2025. So thank you for that, because I don't like this whole thing now of like Severance, we have to wait like 3 years and then I've forgotten what happened and things like that. So
Yeah.
yes, thank you for making us not have to wait too long.
Yes, thank you to BBC
Yes.
Studios, I suppose.
Now give us some jobs.
On top of, I was going to say, on top of everything else you've already done for us. Would you like to plug our pluggables before we head off?
Yes, yes. So thank you so much for listening or watching. If you listened, you can watch us if you would be so inclined on YouTube, which is at Cozy Crime Time. We've also got TikTok at Cozy Crime Time and Instagram at cozy.crimetime. And remember, we're British, so it's with a S, not a Z.
Oh, yes, that's actually the first time we've said
Yeah.
it.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
no
people
Zeds
know,
here.
but I suddenly thought,
Imagine, imagine. Maybe we could have found that the same domain name if we had switched to a Z
yeah.
for Instagram.
Oh,
Not worth
no,
it.
no,
We're
we're not
British.
gonna sully our spelling.
No, absolutely not. There's a U in collar, guys. There's a U in collar. And on that note, thank you so much for listening. Stay cozy. Don't commit crimes.
Bye.